But what is interesting is the topic for this week. The topic for this week is, are we as a black culture too focused on becoming entertainers? So you said yes straight away. So what is your reasoning for yes?
So explain it. What does it mean?
What does it mean? Yeah. So,
Buddy wants to be a singer.
no, growing up, and just in general, as a culture, I would say, all right, we are very much focused on wanting to be footballers or sports, something to do with sports, actors, singers. Like even when you're in school, there's always a case of some people want to be class clowns, for example, all right? And it's like, there's always some kind of entertainment that we want to bring. And it's like, I look at it and think, this is something that as a culture, we kind of push and say, you know what? I want my child to be a footballer. I want my child to be an actor. I want my child to be a boxer. I want my child to be some kind of entertainment. How many of us have pushed the narrative? And I'm not saying this is all of our culture. I'm just saying to you, how many of us have tried to probably push them to be, let's be a doctor. Why don't you be a doctor? Why don't you be a lawyer? Why don't you be a bank? Why don't you be a president? Which was one of the things that you, Prime Minister, which you one of the things you said that your dad was pushing for you. And it's like, not a lot of us do that. So even when I heard you say that on the podcast, I kind of felt to myself, oh, that's really good. I mean, you said you failed, and obviously you're not.
I went in a different direction.
Yeah.
Imagine I said you failed your face.
Failed, you know, wow.
He said it.
No, failed as a son. Your dad looks at you, hello, this is my other son and my disappointment.
Now he's got some show on YouTube.
Yeah. Think it's a TV host. Yeah.
He's an entertainer.
He's a fake news reporter. No, it's not even TV, it's a podcast, like their video.
Yeah, but this is it.
God.
But you said on there, you said, oh yeah, you know what? I failed because I didn't obviously achieve that. But not a lot of us push our children or push people to do those type of things. We're always pushing down the entertainment route. And me as a person, I would say to myself, well, yeah, I wanted to go down the entertainment route. I wanted to be a sports personality. I wanted to be a footballer. I wanted to do boxing. I wanted to do, you know what I mean, anything that was acting or something like that. So that was where I wanted to go with. Go on.
Citrus.
I completely disagree with him.
Oh,
What it is and what it comes down to is you have to think and understand what's attainable. This is why mentors, this is why social figures are so important. If you, Wiley, I'm talking to you, my friend, if you are a literacy, is it baccalaureate? Yeah? And you have accolades in doing so. Do you think your child wants to be a shop porter?
You know,
Because, sorry,
go on.
because of the world they're exposed to. So if you are not exposed to the different aspects of this whole society where you can achieve and be successful in your realm, you won't know any different. If all you are shown is run fast, jump high, lift heavy,
sing,
dance,
be funny.
act, be funny, then that is what you will aspire towards. However, if you're also then shown, this is your uncle. He discovered that the certain rock on the moon produces this power. And this power can power a power station for the next 8 years. However, there are 25 more rocks that need to be investigated. Why do you look into that? Now, if that becomes a reality for you, that's something you look into. Weirdly enough, going back to my holiday, because I'm going to keep plugging St. Lucia. I was on the plane, and do you know where you check in late, so you don't get to pick your seats? So we checked in late, and me and my partner couldn't pick our seats. We just got given 2 seats next to each other, luckily. Now, it was a row of where the family in front had 5. 4, so I was in the middle, 4 and 1. So there were 3 seats spare. We checked in, got the 2 middle seats, like the losers. 2 middle seats, so you had to ask someone, excuse me, to go to the toilet. Crazy. But on the end was a 24-year-old. It was his birthday. He sat next to me, cool. And it was the person from the front, their partner, and then my partner, myself, this dude. as the plane took off, and this was in economy. We didn't even make it economy plus, just got to economy, cool. But it was right near the front. As the plane took off, immediately one of the trolley ladies, stewardess, came and bought him a bottle of champagne and you know the little ones, and a glass.
Like the one in the hamper.
Yeah, popped it, poured his thing. I was like, yo, me next. She just walked off. I was like, Russ, all right, cool, gone again. Come back, next bit was gin and tonic. Poured it, walked off. Come back, and this guy, he's not asking for anything. It's just getting placed on his little, you know, the drop down thing. So I had to nudge him like, yo, why is your thing all lined up? He goes, oh, my brother's the pilot. I said, oh, wow. I said, oh, you know, congratulations. I said, so what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to St. Lucia. The surf's high, so I'm going for 3 days.
3 days.
3 days is going to
9-hour flight.
3 days. So I was like, wow. I said, oh, that's amazing. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, how come all these people are being drinks? Is that because your brother's the captain? He goes, my brother's not the captain, he's the co-captain, as in the co-pilot. And my mum got the first class seat. But
I was about to ask why he was in economy.
There was only one first class space available, and the other space, because the plane was kind of oversold, was on the end of this row. Does that make sense now?
So he was getting first class service despite
Sitting in economy. Right.
Because when he gave the drink, I said, that's what they do in first class. So when you were saying, I was like,
thank
this
you.
is first class.
So I'm there talking to him. I'm like, how old are you? He says, 24. I said, are you a pilot? He said, yeah. And I'm studying. So he does chartered flights, as in, say, European short flights. And he's studying to do the international, but he needs to have X amount of hours,
flight hours.
Before he can become
long haul
Qualified pilot.
qualified long haul pilot. So he's just, and this guy's just educating me. He's like, yeah, the surf's nice in St. Lucia, you should go. And he's now telling me places to go where my family are from, disrespect. But he's just doing his thing. And I'm like, cool. He got a little bit lick, no worries. Got to the point where he started falling asleep. So I took I took my neck pillow thing off, kind of, because he was just doing too much.
On your shoulder.
So I was like, yo, you just hold it. Do you know what I mean? Put it between us so he can just like lean over. So anyway, then the mum came down and woke him up and said, where did you get the neck pillow? And she was like, oh, I was like, it's mine. She was like, oh, okay. So she gave it back to me, brought him his own one, which had British Airways on it. So
first class thing.
All right, first class thing. But the reason why I'm sharing this is I was like, wow, so you're a pilot? And he was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, how did you get to pilot school? And he goes, my brother's a pilot. So I was like, how'd your brother get to a pilot school? My dad's a pilot. I said, wow. I said, oh, right, so your brother and your dad are both pilots. He goes, and my granddad's a pilot.
Shut your mouth.
So, and there was a
I'm like,
We've got a Spitfire at home.
So I said, what? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, so
what much choices in life did you?
Yeah, so I said, so what did you want to? He said, I've been flying planes since I was 11.
Yep.
So to him, becoming a pilot was not, there was no question.
So he was going to be a pilot even if he didn't do it for his career.
Right, because you are now a pilot.
Because you're a family of pilots.
Because you're a family of pilots.
And what you didn't dig there, if he's been flying from the age of 11, that means there is a plane in the family.
Something allows him to be airborne.
Right. Playing at 11 years old.
So, do any of our 11-year-old children or grandchildren or stepchildren or cousins, nieces or nephews have access to a plane to even aspire to be a pilot?
I'm joking.
No, to
we're
aspire.
not talking Lego.
Yeah.
To aspire to be a pilot, to know that a pilot or being a pilot is a career path that is accessible to you. And if you're not, sorry, buddy, if you're not, and you see Usain Bolt, Asif Powell, Julian Alfred, Shelley Ann Fraser, Marcus Rashford, do you know what I mean? Bukayo Saka, these are the people we're aspiring to be because that's all we can see.
They've done it, so that means it's possible.
It's accessible. But if you do not have accessibility to the Boeing 747, the Boeing 949 or whatever the other planes, or the Emirates Air, do you know what I mean? If you do not see that as something that's aspirational,
can I-
let me finish. If you don't see it as something that's aspirational, how do you know it's achievable. How does your son know he can be a pilot? How does your son know he can be a pilot? How does your son know or your grandson know he can be a pilot? And when you put and I look at my son and my daughters, and I think to myself, have I ever said to any of my children, and your children are my children, have I said to any of them, you can be a pilot? No disrespect, bud, and I'm going to come back to you. Really, when we were in school, I'm going to be a pilot. I laughed at him. Yeah, this clown. He's from St. Lucia. He don't understand nothing. He said, I'm going to be a pilot. I'm like, all right then, show me. Mofo turned up at school with his Air Cadets certificate. I've been in a glider.
Matting.
I was like, Ross, you're going to be in Top Gun and all them things and blah, blah, blah. Now, at the time, I didn't really understand it. Later on down the line, I said, yo, what actually happened with your pilot thing? Tell them really.
So as he says, I joined.
Sorry. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can, yeah?
I did the gliding thing, and then when you've done that and you build your confidence, whatever, you then go on to fly what we call a chipmunk, which is a 2-seater plane. I did that. I racked up, I think it was just shy of 30 hours flying and whatnot. And at that age, 17, 18, life started life in. And I had my first son, and then responsibility kicked in, and then the aspirations to do that was still there, but then the immediate needs and necessities took priority. And I've always said to myself, this is something I'm going to do, even if I don't do it as a career, but just to get my pilot's license, because as you was explaining, when you become a pilot, there are several licenses you can get. So for example, if you're on a flight at night, that's a special license. Different size planes, it's a different license. So to get kind of the basic license to fly a very small 2-seater plane on your own is quite doable. So, but to kind of carry on from what Citrus is saying, it's 100% right. Half of these things, your kids don't even know is a job. They don't even know it's something available to them. So, you know, there are people who kids don't necessarily realize, and we take it for granted that they know. But I was talking to my son, and we were playing about band night, where everybody chooses an instrument in the yard and we start singing and doing whatnot. And when I explained to him that some people get paid to do this as their job, he looked at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, there's people.
How old is he?
7 years old. Sorry, 6 years old. But he didn't realize that
people could get paid
for doing this. And when I say paid for doing this, I'm not talking about a singer who plays an instrument. I mean people who just play an instrument in a band, in the background. Do you know what I mean? The concept of that to him was like, what, they get paid to do that? Yeah. Do you know when we went to the theatre last week? Yeah, there was an orchestra there. I didn't see them. Because obviously a lot of these things are in the background. And then I said, do you remember there was a guy at the front and there was a little screen and he was doing, yeah. So he was directing the orchestra. And then things start to make sense and whatnot. So 100% Citrus, I'm with you on this. I don't know what the fakeness is talking about.
Go on, buddy, what was you going to say?
No, I wanted to know what colour was the person you're talking
He was Caucasian.
I was more interested to know, Citrus said he was late. How did you end up being late? Did you make yourself late?
I know what you're talking about.
For the flight? You said you was late? Yeah, for checking in.
No, what it was, do you know, like they give you the window to check in? And
24 hours before you.
During the window, I had to order an extra.
So it was your fault? That's what I was finding out.
No. What I'm saying is I had to order an extra suitcase. And they wouldn't give us access to a suitcase.
Okay.
So when they then sent the email back saying, yes, you've got your suitcase, then you went to check in and it was like, Russ, the whole plane is now full. Because you know them people at Relly will be waiting for exactly 24 hours before the check-in thing, refreshing the page, then check in, pick the best 2 seats that you don't have to pay for, and doing this thing.
I mean that.
But the point I was making, and I don't know if anybody wants to come back at this, is if you do not understand that you can aspire to get a Nobel Peace Prize, if you do not understand this is in your radar, this is in your sphere of achievement, then you do not know it's accessible. And if you don't know you can be an inventor and invent the Bluetooth 4.0, if you don't know this is accessible, you don't look in that avenue.
So let me. Sorry, go on, but I have to say this because you said something, and when you're saying it, it's like I've spoken to my son. I sat down and said it to my son, and I put him on a podcast if I wanted to, and I've said to him, you can be anything. I've had this conversation with him several times. I've probably even told one of you two about this before. I said to him before, you can be anything. You're young enough to achieve anything you want to right now. So that anything you want, you can achieve. And I've said that to him. So when you say we don't allow him to have the options in that, what? I've told
Finish,
you.
finish. No, let him finish, man.
No, shoot
Finish
me.
your point. I'm gonna gun you down, but go on, finish.
No, my point, and this podcast is about saying, as a culture, we more aspire for or we gravitate towards pushing them towards the entertainment values of things. So we would, like you just tried to say, we'd push them to be Bukayo Saka, the Rashfords, and all the rest of it. I'm like, well, is it because of them, or is it just because they're accessible, or is it because these are the things that we wanted to achieve when we was younger? So the same way you're trying to now say, Sirelli would now turn and say he wanted to be a pilot. I don't know who gave you that idea in the first place, because we didn't go on to that, but someone must have given you the idea to say, I want to be a pilot, and that's what you want to be, which is, again, away from the grain. But the grain is usually football, entertainment, acting, sports. It just is.
I've been really quiet here.
Wiley.
And I have
Wiley go.
No, I've been really quiet here, and I've got to say I totally disagree. Because you're talking about possibly Black British culture.
Okay.
If you talk about, go back, my parents weren't looking to be an entertainer. I mean, the last podcast, it's a shame he's not here, shouts to Eddie. Eddie said his dad was a lawyer, his missus' dad was a lawyer, his missus is a lawyer, all studied law.
And he studied law.
And none of them, one second, but the point being, none of them are lawyers. The issue with saying that it's
Wiley,
people in...
Can you just repeat that?
Yeah, so Eddie said that, Eddie from Hayes at Me, he was saying that he studied law, his missus studied law, his dad studied law, his father-in-law studied law, and none of them practiced law. So the thing about it, when we're saying about focusing on entertainment, it depends on, you have to start sort of like granularize what Black culture you're talking about. Because I know my mum and dad weren't telling me about entertainment and they weren't pushing me there. My dad studied law, my granddad studied law. It was about, you're going to study law. I didn't study law, but the point was everybody was focusing on us
what's crazy?
to study.
Wiley's a DJ.
Education.
Focus from law.
But I studied media studies and journalism because I wanted to be a journalist. DJing was a pastime that became something that paid. Wasn't something I chose that I wanted to do.
It's funny you say that, and it's which I wanted to come on to, was there are a lot of, and especially in African culture, and even in some of the West Indian culture, all right, or Caribbean culture, because it's going to upset Citrus, all right, they would be more on pushing you towards education and not pushing you towards trying to say, you know what, I want to do sports. Because if I wanted to do sports, you're not going to be a footballer. You go learn your book. That's what you're getting taught, getting told, and Rain could probably clarify some of that, because that's what we'd be pushed to. Go do your book, because that's what we was told, and you should even be able to be as well. Go do your book. Go learn some maths, and I know you had to learn that. All right. So what you're saying, I agree with, but then I also heard say from, like you said, English culture now and how we are as parents and growing up. I wanted my son to be a footballer. I'm not going to say I didn't.
It's once again, it's what you aspire towards
and what you're exposed to. Sorry, let me just interject there for a second. We all have kids in some capacity. My son is 6 years old, my youngest. If I asked him right now, what does he want for Christmas? I don't know. Not that he doesn't know what he wants. It's just that there's so many options of, if you ask him, what do they want? I don't know. So coming back to what Citrus is saying, you can't then say, well, you know what? Oh, why don't you be a pilot? Why don't you be the president of the prime minister of Jamaica? Why don't you become a skateboarder? Because they don't know at that point. The reason why a lot of these, and Dean's, Citrus's example, is that he had that guidance. He had somebody to show him, listen, when you're in the plane and you do this, that makes the plane go down. All of a sudden, you're piquing his interest in that. If your dad played golf, right now you play golf. Not necessarily professionally, but you'd go down there and you would have a wicked golf swing on you. If your dad played tennis, if Rain's dad was... I don't know, a marine biologist. Man will be coming up here talking about all these different places in the ocean. Do you understand? So it's what you're exposing your kids to. So the perfect example right now is, what are you doing with your son that's not in the mainstream media that he sees? What outside of the box are you doing with him? Are you prepared to send him to a school where you have to pay for him to be there, to mingle with other kids who are from a totally different walk of life?
You become footballers.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Because when you go to the general schools, the public schools, the one closest to your house, the likelihood that one of your son's friends, their parents is, I don't know, an astronaut or something that's just off the beaten track is highly unlikely. Whereas if you're, and again, like I'm used,
If you go private school,
Grammar school.
and yeah, my friend's mum owns Kodak. My aunt's dad
Is a diamond collector.
Yeah, the other person is a director for BAFTA. The other person, they discovered oil in the middle of the Sahara.
And when you're
or one of them works in a coal mine, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not always that though, because I use James O'Brien as the example. His dad was working class. He worked 2 or 3 jobs to put him through private school.
But he was a reporter.
He worked 2 or 3 jobs to put him. Remember, being a reporter back in them days was difficult.
It was difficult, but the reason why I mentioned it, and sorry to interject, is that it meant that you met different classes of people. So he was still in that environment where you may meet you might interview a prime minister. Tomorrow you might be sent down to a coal mine so this is what I'm saying. It's still access to different environments.
The point I was making is that James saw his dad doing X, Y, and Z, and then thought, right, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to surpass you. Now, using my son as the example, my son plays football. Does he want to be a footballer? Yes. Why? Because, his exact words, I can earn lots of money. But he also wants to be an engineer. Why? Because I like building stuff and making stuff. Right. So therefore, what's your focus? I've sat down and said, I think, I can't remember what the stat is, but let's just say that there's 1 million children out there that are playing football at his level, not people that are below, at his level. 10 of them will make it into the Premier League. So do you want to do this, where there's a slim chance, a very slim chance you're going to get in, or be an engineer, and all you've got to do is read a few books and understand maths and understand graphical drawing? Which one's easier? Well, this one's easier. Right, we'll go for that and do that as a hobby. If that works out for you, fine, I'll retire early. If it doesn't, you have a career. And to answer the actual question, some of it is ease. What we look for is ease. Whether it be black people, white people, it doesn't matter. It's ease. I can be a social media influencer. What do I need to do that? I need my phone and I need a platform, which is TikTok or whatever it may be. Or I can be, like, my teacher at school says I can run fast. Right, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do athletics. I can play football, so I'm going to put all my... It's easier. The commitment of sitting down and committing years to study, people just don't want to do that no more. Therefore, they look for an easy way out.
Sorry, I'm not, I want you to continue. What you've said is the best example of anything that anyone else has said on this podcast.
I'm the truth.
I never said that. But what you said, 100%, I agree with every single part of it. And I'm glad that you said it on the podcast.
Citrus doesn't
I'm going to jump in.
It's
nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
I'll tell you why it's nonsense.
You don't agree.
I don't agree to this nonsense because...
It's not nonsense.
I don't agree to it.
Nonsense.
I don't agree to it because if you go back to the point that Sirelli made, it is what you were exposed to. Ease is an easy answer. And I'll tell you why. If your school teacher, your primary school teacher, only saw black people doing athletics and you're the fastest, guess what? You can be an athlete. It's not about ease. This is what I think you can do. If the same school teacher only saw black people driving buses, you can be a bus driver. Or just being a bin man, you can be a bin man. You can be a road sweeper. You can be all these things. The reason why I'm saying this is because when I went to my careers advisor, they said, oh, do you know what, Dean? You're really clever. You'd be a really good bus driver. Or what? I don't know how to drive a bus. You can be a bus driver. I don't want to drive a bus. Weirdly enough, and I've said this on a podcast maybe 3 years ago, that same teacher came into the bank asking for a loan. I was like, oh, nice to be your bus driver. Oh, you're a bank manager. No, I'm still a bus driver. Do you get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, I appreciate the words that you're sharing to say it's ease, but you have to think to yourself, as Sirelli said, if the environment only shows you 2% of the availability, then all you're going to look for is that same 2% of the availability. If you do not know that living in Hackney, growing up in Clapton, that you can be an astronaut because Buddy, who was your next door neighbour, became an astronaut, do you know what? What do I need to be an astronaut? What, study physics? Let me go and do that. I'm not saying ease isn't included, Rain, but what I'm saying is you have to think to yourself how powerful those people who are your careers advisors, who are the people of influence. It's mad. And the only reason why I say that is when I went to university, the course that I studied was so specialist. I'm meeting people from all over the world. Yeah, I've come here to find out about this very niche market. How'd you get here? My dad paid for me. How much your course? 100 grand. Right, I didn't even pay. Do you know what I mean? I signed up, I got the right, blah, blah. And then meeting these people and finding out what they're exposed to. One of the guys on my course, his dad made Kool-Aid flavors. Kool-Aid flavors. And I was like, I mean, someone has to do it. And your dad is the person that's doing it. So I definitely understand the point you're saying, Rain, and I don't want to shit on it, or whatever word I meant to use, Wiley will add it in. But what I'm trying to say is, unless you are exposed to it, then it doesn't become a reality. And the harshest thing is now, and we can do this, people at home do this, phone relatives, friends, speak to their children, their teenagers, and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And years ago, growing up, we wanted to be cricketers, footballers. You know what I mean? I'll be an athlete. I'll be a musician. They're now saying, I want to be an influencer. Do you know what I mean? I want to start my own clothing.
To his point, with ease.
No.
Rain's going to retort, and I'm going to go.
It's not about ease. It's about exposure. And this is the point I'm trying to say. If you are exposed to it, bud, if you turn around and say, I Show Speed is a multi-millionaire and he's 23 or 22 or whatever the age he is. Why? Because that's all I see, is what I'm exposed to. But you know, you don't see the I Show Speed of astrology, the I Show Speed of engineering, the I Show Speed of
which I'm going to get
which is
into.
I'm a Kaya.
Rain.
No, I don't really have a response. I think in a rounded way, you've come back and said kind of what I've said, which is fine. Not directly, but in a loose way. I think ease is there, and I think I get what you're. So we keep always say, "Oh, I get what you're saying," and then we contradict it. What you're saying is that it's what the individual, the child, or in this instance, what we're saying, what the black person sees as to why they work in a particular way or they do a particular thing. So the I Show Speeds, the Usain Bolts, but then it's what the parents exposes the child to. So I would expose my son to Neil deGrasse Tyson. It goes way over his head, but he just understands there is this man that is an astrophysicist talking about the potential existence of aliens, and he gets paid for it. That's a role model there. I might show him a Carla. So he was a rapper in the grime scene, but now he's doing lectures at Oxford and Cambridge. What's Oxford and Cambridge? It's the best universities, apparently, in the UK. Does he get paid? Yes. Does he get paid more than a footballer? Probably not, but he'll have a longer career. It comes, for me, I can't remember who said it. Right, so there's two things. So one, I remember being in a barbershop, and there was a, so shouts out to Lance, barbershop in Brixton. I was in a barbershop, and there was a ras called Ecobine. He was on the verge of being off his face, but he said something that landed with me and I'll never forget it. Out of all the madness, they were talking about gal, they were talking about this, and he stopped right in the barbershop. Me and my bedroom Jason was there, and he said, you learn to fly a plane or learn to understand the law. And like, then I'm thinking, oh, whatever, we're in a barbershop. But now I understand it. Like, if things go down and no one can't be an influencer or the government bans football, you can fly a plane. And it comes back to the thing of the pilot. And when you said that, it resonated because I remembered what he said. Understand the law. Like, Wiley, you're saying, oh, your family studied law and you didn't. But technically, you are in the law environment.
I've studied studied employment law, but I haven't studied. Law. I haven't gone down that road.
No.
I haven't gone down that road. That, for example, now I've done that as an adult.
Right.
As a child, I was studying English and media because I wanted to be a journalist. I started having an interest in law, but it was more, and this is what I wanted to get onto sort of here, was that the pressures you have of trying to follow a career path that your family, parents may. So when we're talking about children and sending them to these schools, and yeah, if you go to these best schools, then you can learn to do all these things. If it isn't something that's within them that they want to do, is it their dream you're chasing, or is it your dream you're chasing? You know the pressures of that.
You know, the when you start talking about dreams and you're talking about, you know, imposing it on your kids and stuff like that, for me, unless your child has got a very fixated mind on something, that dream changes almost on a daily basis. So my son, he would tell me he wants to do anything, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's go and do it. And Because of that, I've spent much more money than I should do. Some of the things he takes to, some of them he doesn't. However, because I've now got that narrative, and my eldest 2 kids will tell you that, yeah, daddy's gone soft. Because, you know, now that my son comes to me and he tells me, I don't know, he wants to become a lion
Like
tamer.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, okay, we're going to the zoo and you're going to enroll on a training course to tame lions. But the reason why I've done this to him is because I'm allowing him to do this is because I want him to have that opportunity to dream, to look at things and say, you know what, I can do that, because it's also a confidence thing. Now, where he goes to school currently, and I've said this on the podcast before, one of the reasons why I chose that school is because the school has such, it's not a private school, it's a public school, but it has such a wide range.
But you have to share the locality of the school.
No,
Not be downstairs, where it is in London.
Okay.
The cosmopolitan spread of individuals.
And that's one of the reasons why I
go
live
to the
there,
school.
because I could move, but I live, so without saying too much, I live in East London, very close to the city. So because of that, there's a plethora of different types of nationalities, cultures, everything. But ultimately, my son's now into skateboarding. Now, at first, I was like, skateboarding? Daddy, I really want to do it. All right. So one day, walking down in the city, I bought him a skateboard. And my son started skateboarding and he's got someone teaching him. Within 3 months, went up 2 classes. My man's now talking about, Daddy, I'm doing ollies and half board and spike. I'm like, bro, okay, cool. But whereas with other things he's done, I've had to say to him, come on, let's go and practice this. Come on, let's go and do that. Now he's like, Daddy, can you take me to the skateboard park? Daddy, I've looked up, there's one in Tunisia, which is very famous, that everybody goes, and I'm like, whoa. So giving him exposure to these things, he's now, he's curious. He wants to know. Talk to him about football or anything like that. He don't care.
But then that's
However,
you.
yes, I was just about to say the environment dictates, right?
But this is what I'm saying. So when Rain says these things about, well, you know what, it's you know, I want you to, you enjoy football. I don't think ease is necessarily what the word. And the reason why I say that is because if you're passionate about something, it becomes easy because you don't think of how hard it is. So for example, if your partner is a physicist and they're coming home and they're doing things and they're doing experiments or they're doing things and every day your son sees it and whatnot, and he asks a question and she explains something to him, tomorrow he comes back and you're doing it again. It's like, oh, so you're doing this. And now all of a sudden, it's not hard to him because he's seen it, he's exposed to it, so he's now got an interest and things that we would look at and like, right, you understand this, and you know, there are adults who don't understand it. But because you're in that environment, you're exposed to it, it becomes easy to you. So like what Buddy said about the entertainment, the whole topic about the entertainment, about sports, it's because this is what they see. It's what they're exposed to. These are people that I can relate to. They look like me and they've achieved this. Okay, maybe that's the way I need to go. So if you don't, and we all don't, everybody in this on this podcast right now, I can actually say we are the opposite of that. We do things outside of our comfort zone to give our youth that kind of opportunity to say, well, you know what, you don't need to be a footballer. I'm not telling you to be an astronaut, but I'm saying to you, it's within arm's reach. And if it's something you've got an interest in, then you can follow it.
Yeah, but then like you said very briefly in what we was trying to allude to, your son was never going to go towards sports because it's not something that you do. You're
skateboarding is sport.
No.
It's a sport, bro.
Traditional sports.
Yeah,
let's say.
thank
Okay,
you.
fair enough.
All right, but it's not something that you do. You're not that. That's not where you.
I disagree, bro.
Go on, buddy.
The
Go on, buddy.
playground-
Go on,
the
buddy.
playground
Go on,
plays
go
a
on,
big
go
part
on.
in that.
The playground does
Go on.
play a big part, but the point is that Sirelli doesn't expose him to that. So Daddy doesn't do it. All right. So if Daddy's not doing it, it's not showing him that. So
Daddy does everything. I used to do athletics at school. I represented London in javelin.
yeah, but you don't. Have you showed him that? Has he ever seen you throw a javelin?
No, but I expose him to it nonetheless. I've taken him to a football match.
Seen that,
I expose him to everything that I can physically expose him to. My son does, like, again, my kids call him bougie because he'll come up to me and say, Daddy, I want steak tonight. We'll go to a restaurant and he knows exactly what he wants. What type of restaurant is it? Italian? Okay, I want a seafood pasta. I expose him to everything, maybe more than I should do, because I want him to have that. The chef in this restaurant is really good, Daddy. Let's go back here. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what do you know about chef? But I'm exposing it to him, so I can't then hold it against him. But
nobody's saying. Like I said, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I've always commended it and said how good it is. I don't see it as a bad thing at all. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying to you, you're a sucker for your environment, innit? Like At the end of the day, I can sit there and say, I could tell you what football team Rain's child supports, because I know what team he supports. I can tell you what football team your children support, because I know do you know what I mean? And so on and so forth. You can ask me mine, you will know, all right? Because at the end of the day, it's they're following their parents, so it's the environment that you're around. Do you know what I mean? And a narrative that you're pushing. So if you're going to push an openness to certain things, then they will gravitate towards that. So whatever you're trying to push, or not force, because I'll say whatever narrative you're pushing, like you've got a very open narrative where, like, for example, he said he's skateboarding and stuff like that. He's trying different things. So then all of a sudden his palette's a lot bigger than a lot of others. You're not necessarily the type to say, you know what, we're going in the park to go and play football. He will get that from school, because when he's in school, but again, it depends on what type of school he's at. Because there are some schools that have turned and said there are a lot of schools.
We don't play football.
They don't play football.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, football.
Which feeds into one of the points I wanted to raise was, how do schools and society characterize our people into these environments? Because it's all well and good saying, yeah, if you go to a certain school that you're going to be able to be getting better academics. But if the society is already looking at it like, oh, you know what, well, you can get a scholarship if you play football, you can do this if you do that, and that is the direction they're being pushed into, automatically, even if they are academically at the top, the environment they're going into is trying to funnel them into another direction. So does that not play a part in this whole thing of entertainment, of us being
your environment
focused into that?
And what your parents do. The funniest thing is, and your environment being probably really key. Because you think about I like American football. I like basketball. I was never going to be an American footballer. I was never going to be a basketballer. There was none of that around me. My environment did not tell me that. All right, my environment was football. All right, soccer. All right, so it's like, yeah, that's where I'm going. Yeah. All right, I was never going down that route. It was just something I would watch now and again, and I'd thought, well, this is all right, and I'd get a little bit of entertainment from it. All right, you will not get that if your environment's not pushing you into a certain direction, and you're not going to go lead into that direction. So when you're saying about being around people that do law and doctors and stuff like that, it does push you towards those type of things, because that's what you're around, that's what you see. I would sit there and say, for myself, I've gravitated towards business. I've gravitated that way. And when I was listening to a lot of what you lot were saying, I gravitated towards that because my dad owns his own business. My mum owns her own business. And I thought, oh, what do I do? Oh, yeah, run your own business. I said, oh, so I suppose it has. So when you was talking, a lot of it I was listening to, I was thinking, it does kind of transcend, you're following your parents.
So I've got a question on what you just said.
Yep.
Is there anything actually wrong with your PE teacher saying to you, you should go and do athletics, you're really good at it?
No, there's nothing wrong with it, so long as it doesn't interfere with your English teacher saying you shouldn't do English.
It's mad. So right, I just had a parents' evening. So my son's first parents' evening.
In that school?
It's secondary school,
Secondary
which is a proper parents' evening. The ones before are just whatever. The athletics teacher.
So disrespectful, innit?
Well, it is though. It's anyway. The athletics teacher is saying he should come to athletics. He should come to athletics, and it's on a Wednesday. My son doesn't really care, like he'll go or whatever. But the English teacher is saying this child has got an affinity for writing, creative writing. If I read you a piece of it, so my son has had 2 pieces published in, there's this book that comes out in Brent, and they go to schools and they have to write a paragraph on something. So twice, 2 years in a row, he's had a piece published. So that just shows you that his level of creative writing is exceptional. Now, he's asked me.
Tell the schools in Brent are great. Parents.
So my son said to me, look, athletics. And then I'm saying, right, so what about what the English teacher's saying? Now, so this is what you're saying.
Yep.
It depends on, and I think this comes back to your point, it depends on what the environment's telling you to do. So right now, he's got 2 saying, right, in fact, my son can run. He plays football 5 times a week. Like, he's going to be the fastest in the school, in his year, easily, hands down. He doesn't need no more training in that. The English stuff, imagine, there's lots of black authors out there, but how many black authors could your children name? Yeah. Right. Now, I had so my dad used to be a part of this, they called it the organisation with Eric and Jessica Huntley. Google them and it will make sense. They publish books. I think they were the first black publishers, I think, in the UK who were linked up with the bookshop on Finchley Park. I can't remember what it was called.
New
That's
Beacon?
what-
New Beacon Books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they always
Shouts
say,
out to Reds. I believe that's his granddad's
dad's
shop.
oh
innit?
really?
Well, yeah, his
All
dad's
right.
shop,
So
yeah.
they all. So he would know. Has Fred's been on the podcast. He's coming.
Not
isn't he?
yet, but he's coming.
Right. So when
He's
he
coming.
comes, he will obviously know them. They always say you don't have enough black authors, and if you get black authors that write with substance, it would make you rich. Now I'm trying to convey that to him, and he's like, okay, well I'll give it a go because he's already got the skill for it. But it's about the teacher. Now, if that English teacher talks to the PE teacher and says, oh well, he can win us a trophy, so we can post it on the Instagram, and that English teacher says, well, go on, Zane, do that rather than this. That's the failing, because you want
100%.
your son or child to be a bit more than just a runner. And
Doesn't that also come down to you as a parent to say,
Pick up the slack.
yes, you can run, and yes, you can write. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed into your running.
Yep.
We're also going to feed into your writing. So it doesn't matter if the school are saying, this is the direction we think we should go to. As the parent, if you nurture the interest, then they both
Can I I
go
like
forward.
I do
So,
like the thought process behind it. But if you're good at something, right? Or they said he's good at two things. You need to focus on one to become the best at that something in some sense, potentially. So when you're now saying, well, because I'm listening to, I'm thinking, well, just divide it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you do that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you do that. Sunday, you do that. Or it's your rest day and then everything's sorted. Like I'm thinking of quite how to just break it down. But I'm thinking to myself, well, hold on a second. He's now not getting what you just said. He does football Monday
times.
to Friday.
5 times a week.
So he's doing that 5 times. So now you're cutting into his football time, which is now potentially lessening the chance of him making it into that million that we spoke about, which is the 10 out of the million. All right. He's not going to be in that no more because he's got less time. Whereas Billy over there is doing 5 times a week again. So he's now going to be the superstar. Your kids now, might as well do the English thing now. Ease. All right. And then said, so, you know, this is easier. I'm going to go to that because it makes more sense. I've got more chance of making that rather than doing that. So he's fallen off.
But
so is it the right thing to divide it? Or do you just push on what they're good at? Like I would say my son's really good at anything computer-wise. Like he can fix things on computers. I say he's got a knack for it. He was doing it in his primary school. He started to do it in his secondary school. I'm pushing for him to do it at home, and his uncle, my brother, he's into IT. He's like done his masters, whatever. All right, you know what I mean? They're into IT, so I'm thinking maybe this is an avenue to push you down. You're actually good at it, all right. Rather than saying to myself, well, you like football, you're right with it. Go and do football, or go and do other stuff that you're okay at. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I should just keep on pushing you towards the IT. So rather now than saying we're going to do football on a Sunday, you can go do the IT on a Sunday instead, because I know that's better for you.
So let me ask you a question. Your son, hypothetically, likes doing the IT, likes doing it. However, he's really good at football. Where do you prioritize?
What's he better at?
He likes doing IT, but he's better at football. But he likes, that's his passion. That's, you know, if he's sitting down here, he's going to pull up the laptop. He ain't going on YouTube to watch who's playing the match. He's going on IT. However, he's an amazing footballer. Where'd you push him?
Then I suppose you go into the dividing thing, but I'm very much, I suppose my narrative, if I'm being honest, as a parent, I'd probably try and be pushing him towards it, although I would let him do both. I wouldn't take away his love, because if his love is that, then you've got to leave him with his love. All right.
I think that's it. Full stop.
Yeah.
I think you leave him.
And
with his
this is the point that we're kind of all avoiding, and we don't want to kind of commit and say, as we're saying, if you expose them to it, and this is where their passion is, and they're doing it, and they're not thinking about doing it. You know, if you don't have to tell them, you know, it's time for you to go training. They're actually going to get up and go training by themselves. Then you leave them with it. It doesn't matter if he likes just hitting a tin pan, but you know what? He's going to do it when you don't tell him, you know what? Let's all sit down and watch a family film tonight. He's sitting there watching a family film and hitting his tin because that's what he likes doing. Then you have to influence that. You have to feed it.
Support it.
Yeah, you've got to support it. So showing them these things and giving them that example and expose, all you can do. I'm so passionate about this. It's hard to get all the words out because I feel schools in the UK as a whole are not doing enough.
And that is a key point I
They're
want
not
to
doing
try
enough.
because we got limited time, so we're not going to get everything out.
Let's not go
But-
down that rabbit hole.
But one of the key things I wanted to say was that we're talking about the impacts we would have on our children,
Yep.
on the children that we're around. But we're not around them the majority of the time when they're out in the school. So you're entrusting the school
To do these things for
to
you.
be doing that. But society, as we have seen over the years, doesn't, and I'll say predominantly black boys. Let me just say black boys because I know statistically that is a proven fact. The energy put into them academically, as opposed to into music, sports, etc., is not the same. So we can talk as much as we want to say, you know what, yeah, we would split the time. But if the teachers ain't telling you, you know what, I mean, credit to Rain. Rain's at least getting information that, you know what, he's really good in English, really good in football. But certain times, I know when I was growing up, I was really great in English, but they weren't pushing me for that. My parents had to fight for me to do that.
Right.
And but now that is sort of, that influence is dropped off because the scopes of things you can do on a wider entertainment scale that now earn the money is also there. So if the schools ain't driving you and you don't have the parents behind driving you, how do you expect those children to attain that love of wanting to be effectively? They don't want to be the focus on entertainment. They want to focus on academics, but they're not getting the support in the systems that they're actually having to go through.
But that's the key there. Don't trust a system that's not built for your child to educate your child.
Mhm.
You as a parent need to understand, where does my child, what do they like doing? So you're saying IT, well, in time it will be whatever it will be. My son, English. As parents, we need to take that on board and understand, like, the schools will give you, let's just say the schools give you 60%. The percent that gets them the A star, or what is the grading now? Is it whatever it is?
numbers.
9, the 9s and all of that. It's the extracurricular. It's making sure they're doing their homework. It's making sure that they're reading. It's difficult. I'd love to say 2 books a month. My son doesn't read 2 books a month. But if that's the additional stuff, you can't trust someone else to make your child into the aspirational figure, I believe. Go on.
So there's thank you for sharing this, gents. And I think this is really important. I think as a podcast, these are the kind of topics we need to continue talking about. So thank you. But there is something that you've all mentioned, and I grew up in a household where, like it or not, you had to be good at math.
I wish I was in that house.
You had to read,
No, there's meats, bruv.
and
You didn't want to be in that house, bro.
you had to be good at math. There was no option. So going into school, age 4, 5, 6, you knew your times tables, you knew your division. You had to be able to do mental arithmetic because that was just standard. Now, getting to school, the school then pushing that was almost non-existent. Do you get what I mean? Because they couldn't care less about it.
You passed? Okay, cool, that's it.
Yeah. So you got the minimum standard,
That's it. Yeah.
then you're right.
You're good.
Now, my mum was not on it. It was like, nope, she's this good, he's this good, keep going. Like, when you're sending homework, don't send homework for year 5 if they're in year 5. Send it for year 7 or year 8.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll come home with thick, you know, like normally you get 1 page. Everyone else gets 1 page, I got a booklet. I'm like, why am I getting a booklet?
Finish
Do you
the
know what I mean?
chapter.
Finish the whole thing before do you know what I mean? You go home. I'm like, okay, cool. The point I'm trying to make is when your parent or parents nurture and push you in the right direction and expose you, you understand what's going on. My sister went on holiday recently. My niece had to go to her college, picking her colleges now. She's in year 11 GCSEs, picking her college. I took her to a theatre school. Got to the theatre school, it was great. Had a look around, this is what she wants to do. I was like, do you know what? She's good academically and she loves acting. I was like, do you know what? I'll take you to the theatre one, I'll take you to the academic college, we'll do all of that. When we walked into the the theatre school, what was brilliant was there were other individuals that were there and ran up to my knees like, hi, you're right, what are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how do you know these people? They go to my Sunday theatre club.
Yeah.
They go to my Thursday night theatre club. And I'm like, wow. And she was like, oh yeah, we get cheap tickets and we do this on this day, this on. And in my head, I was like, that is so magical that as much as she's still in that, I'm not sure which route to go down, she has all of this exposure, so she can now make a choice based on it. If it's football, if it's skateboarding, if it's English, if it's literacy and media or whatever else, she can now make the decision. And I think that is beautiful. Whereas go read your book is some of the narratives that we heard, which didn't necessarily mean if you read your books and read enough books, eventually you'll become a writer.
Something will come
that
out
will
of
then
it.
become a journalist that can then, do you know what I mean, be accolades in X, Y, Z.
And do you know what that is? That's what I was taught, and therefore I'm going to pass that on.
And the crazy thing is, my final point before we conclude is, please do not treat reading as a punishment to your child. Please don't.
But you can do it with maths though.
Please don't. Because the last thing you want is your child to resent ways of gaining education.
Or associate reading with punishment.
Listen, there's so much we could go through. We haven't even touched the
Willie Lynch
sides of it,
syndrome.
you know? Was that?
Willie Lynch syndrome.
Indeed.
But that's the next.
We haven't even touched the sides on this subject, and we're going to end up coming back onto it at another point. But last point, closing point to wrap up.
I think the one
Closing statement.
No, I think the one what Citrus ended on is good enough.
Expose your kids.
Indeed.
Show them everything. Don't be afraid to let them see the world. I let my son do a different activity, especially in the 6 weeks holiday. Every 2 weeks, he's trying something new, random, whatever I can lay my hands on.
Indeed. But don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and make sure, like I said, you see how Sirelli is pointing to the things. You see how I'm pointing to the things.
Man. I want the hat.
Ray's pointing to the things. Citrus is pointing to the things, and the Scrooge over in the corner, you see he's just got the same energy. 18th of December, make sure you join us live on the eMpTy podcast. And don't forget, if the glass ain't half full,
It's empty.
empty.